What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down something very important involving Tesla stock. I'm going to talk about some new deliveries estimates that just came out, and also what's going on with tomorrow as we have CPI coming out, and how CPI could affect the overall market from SPY to the QQQ, Tesla, and beyond. But before I break into all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Mumu link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Mumu and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla, we saw some very, very interesting price action. We got this nice pump over the news that the Giga Berlin may open today, but there's nothing confirmed yet about that. So Tesla got this nice pump and then drop like move similar to what I was predicting. It's just that it pumped a little bit more than what I expected because this news came out. And since then, I said that Tesla might consolidate and remain range bound until we get CPI, and that's what's been happening since. But the question is, what's going to happen to the share price moving forward? What is the market likely going to do? But I first want to talk about some news about Tesla and also what's happening with CPI. So there's been a lot of news coming out. Tesla's pullback is offering an attractive entry point. And I do agree with that, but I would still be careful because going into the future for Tesla and the overall markets, there could be even more attractive entry points coming for months to come. So that basically implies don't go all in at once, at least from my point of view, and that's not financial advice. Anyways, Bloomberg also reported something very, very important. We basically had these analysts known as one of them is known as Chris McNally. He's from Evercore, and he basically wrote a report on Tesla, which is very important. And he questioned the best case scenario for Tesla for a cheaper vehicle. So he found that to be very questionable. He also mentioned that he's not sure if Tesla is going to meet up with a lot of their demand expectations and the requirements, and that the next growth wave could be much later than expected. He also mentioned that there could be a, there could be a decline coming in for the materials for them to achieve that $28,000 to $20,000 vehicle with 250 miles of range. So he had some very, very big things to say about that. And he also came out and said that the company Evercore, they're now expecting Tesla to deliver around 2.7 million vehicles in 2026, meaning its estimates for EPS are going to be basically 18 to 20% below consensus. And that is, once again, very important. So I personally think that that's a big underestimation of Tesla's capabilities and how much this thing has been growing. I believe that they could still get very close to 2 million deliveries this year, and eventually they could grow pretty quickly over the next couple of years. And by 2026 to 2027, they're going to be well above this target, in my personal opinion. But everyone has their own opinions. They're right; they have the right to have them. So I just wanted to call out this view. And one of the many reasons that they say this is because of the fact that the growth phase may be delayed, and other macroeconomic factors could be getting in the way for Tesla. That's what Evercore is saying. Anyways, now that's kind of like a little bit negative for Tesla, but it's not really causing too much of a big move, anyways. I just want to call out that headline. I have another warning for everyone for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, March 12th. And just remember that an hour before the market opens, we have CPI coming out and also core CPI. We want core to be 3.7 to 3.8% year over year, and CPI for all items to be 3.1 to 3.2%. Why is this important? Well, here's the actual answer. So for CPI, what's very important is you have to remember it's coming out an hour before the market opens, and the market's about to close today. What this means is if you want to hold a position overnight, if you're holding calls, if you're holding a leap, if you're holding like some kind of spread, if you're holding something overnight, okay, you have to be careful because CPI is going to come out before the market opens, and then you won't be able to exit your position until after CPI comes out, and the market's going to make a big move to the upside or the downside. It's going to gap up or down. So you have your last chance today to exit your positions unless you want to hold through CPI. The choice is yours. But what do I think is going to happen with CPI? What is my prediction? I'm going to start off by talking about SPY and the QQQ before I break down Tesla. So for SPY, okay, this is holding up nicely, and I called out this falling wedge-like structure. We also have a potential inverse head and shoulders forming on the 5-minute time frame, which does suggest that SPY may get a bounce. And technicals do suggest that. They do strongly favor this thing may try to bounce a little bit higher. So CPI will most likely cause the market to pump, in my opinion, but I can't make any promises. I can't say this with super high conviction because, once again, the numbers could be very, very difficult, and it could be a little hard to predict sometimes since I don't truly know what the numbers are. But with this inverse head and shoulders, this does favor a move to the upside and an attempt to go back up higher. So we'll be watching for that attempt from this structure. Now, technicals do suggest that. Technicals obviously are not everything, but they do suggest this thing could attempt to go higher thanks to CPI. So make sure you're prepared for that just to be safe. Now, if you're gonna play this because you heard this, just be careful. If I were to play this, I'm not gonna go all in. I'm not gonna double down on a position. I'm just gonna keep my position small relative to my entire portfolio. I'm going to play it safe. I want to give you guys a warning to manage risks. Although CPI does favor the upside, always manage risks and always be careful. That is what I would tell you. So I'm not going to say how high I think this is going to go. I'm going to save that for later, but just know that we have support on SPY currently at this 510.75 area and 510, and our resistance right now is 511.7 followed by 512. We're looking bullish as of right now, and CPI could help us continue, but just to be safe, we'll see. On the triple Q, we have 438 acting as our resistance. We're kind of shopping around there. We have support a little bit below that at this 436.75 area. And for resistance, we have 438.7 followed by 440 coming above that. And this does have potential to push higher, in my opinion. On to the QQQ. Let me just say that the QQQ on the 5 minute time frame also happens to have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. It has this gap to fill above, so it does favor a nice push to the upside. And with us are already kind of like pumping, approaching CPI, there is a chance that CPI might help us bounce after how much we dropped in such a short period of time. So, technicals do suggest that. So I just want to give you a warning about that. If you want to hold overnight, it's your choice, but this thing it's going to make a big move after CPI comes out. I do favor upside somewhat more, but just to be safe, let's wait and see, right? Always be open minded just to be safe. Anyways, for Tesla, what does this mean for Tesla? Well, the thing about Tesla is that Tesla is super news dependent, especially recently. So CPI is one big factor, of course, but another factor is going to be the news. Do we get another bullish catalyst? If there's no major news that affects Tesla and CPI comes out and causes a huge move, it's going to follow what the overall market does. Today, Tesla outperformed the market a bit in the morning because of some more news. And you guys can see how much news affects this. So in that case, this does favor Tesla trying to push a little higher if CPI comes in decently. And if the market continues to get that bounce, we could see Tesla attempt to do so. So we'll see if we can try to break 182. And for bearish, we're going to come down below 175. Overall, we held nicely. We're still kind of consolidating. So we'll see how it goes. But I do favor upside somewhat more. One stock I'm not as sure about is Nvidia because technicals are looking not the strongest on Nvidia right now. You guys can see we have a little bearish wedge forming. But technicals are only part of the picture. I would personally step away from this for the time being when it comes to like holding overnight and just wait and see how it pans out. If we bounce off the support in this 861 area, we could start pushing back up to 885. If we lose it, we could come down to 844. Overall, I'm very indecisive. I'm just going to be in the middle for Nvidia and we'll just wait and see. But Apple, on the other hand, is showing some strength. Apple is showing strength because we have a nice cup and handle like formation. This is also resembling a nice inverse head and shoulders. We came up to this 174 area, came back down, so we broke past this yellow trend line. Look at the yellow line across the screen, guys. You guys could see we rejected a bunch of times off the yellow trend line. But here's the big but. This time we broke past today. That's a big sign. Then we came back down to back tested and we're actually holding quite nicely above 172.5. This means that if Apple, as long as we hold this, there could be an attempt to push higher. The chart does favor that in terms of technicals. But once again, technicals are not the only picture. CPIs can have a bigger effect. So we'll just see what it causes. Just a few more. As far as the market goes, we have super micro. This is starting to form an inverse head and shoulders that came down as we predicted, this 1100 area. And as long as we kind of hold above this area, there could be a bounce tomorrow past 1113 if we get a decent CPI. Uh, the IWM could do the same thing. It really depends on CPI, though. Can we get past 206? We'll have to wait and see. Amazon, I would be careful with Amazon because we have this head and shoulders and we're just barely holding 172 as support. Could we get a little rebound temporarily and then continue to fall? It's also a possibility. But this head and shoulders is looking very convincing to me so far. I want to see it lose 172 for confirmation. But overall, there's a risk of this coming down. It could rebound a bit and then come back down later thanks to the head and shoulders. But just be careful on Amazon. It's kind of risky to play. And then for Meta, we lost 494. I called this level out yesterday. I said if we lost this, expect a bigger drop. And there's your drop. Lo and behold, it came. So now, Meta's looking kind of bearish. So just be a little bit careful with these. CPI could cause a little rebound to retest the 50 EMA, but it might not be the biggest of bounce since this is looking relatively weak. Anyways, that is it for the video. I hope this video was helpful as far as Tesla goes. We got some negative news from some analysts, but Tesla's starting to show some strength in terms of technicals, and it's going to be heavily dictated by our next CPI. So we'll see if this helps Tesla break above our 20 EMA and starts pushing higher or not. So I'll be very patient in the process. I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day, and peace out.